start.
Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
All right. Brad Shaw with you here on a beautiful Wednesday. I'm back to shorts.
It's hot.
It's awesome.
I put a sweatshirt on and just one t-shirt. Now I wish I would have layered my t-shirt so I'd been more comfortable.
It's sad that, 50 degrees, woo, break out the shorts, but we're acclimating.
We're Iowans, though.
We're acclimating slowly to the cold weather, and that makes baby Jesus sad.
I don't know if that has anything to do with baby Jesus. First of all,
Comes from a very hot climate, that baby Jesus.
Indeed. Of course, he's not a baby anymore.
Just walking around in robes and swaddling cloths in this weather would...
Yeah, I mean, he didn't actually walk when he was wearing swaddling clothes. That would have been when he was a baby.
Are you doubting the power of Jesus?
I'm just saying he's like 2,333 years old. I'm pretty sure he's not a baby Jesus anymore.
I know, and we saw in the last crusade what that type of age does to you.
I don't follow.
Remember when the last Templar who was guarding...
Oh, Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh, you were having fond dreams of Holy War or something?
No, fond dreams? Yeah, yes, I dream.
That children's crusade was a good idea.
Yeah, I dream of just killing everybody for a misinterpretation of Scripture.
I could see you dancing around a brazen bull. Are you familiar with the...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't think you would see me doing that.
No?
No, I mean, I'm kind of a pacifist, actually.
That is, I think, the route Jesus would take.
Yeah, more or less. Now, if
it's weird because the GOP is very warlike. I've never quite got that.
I'm a defensive guy. Like, if somebody came to my house and was trying to do harm to my family, at that point, they would find out that I'm very well armed. But
what type of handgun would Jesus own?
Well, I'd like to think that he would own a Colt 357.
Well, is that like the Dirty Harry?
Well,
Go
actually,
ahead.
Dirty Harry used
my millennium.
He used a 44 Magnum, which at the time was the most powerful handgun in the world. It could, in fact, blow your head clean off.
I saw that movie.
But a 357 would just put a nice sized hole. It would canoe it out.
Now, do you think Jesus would open carry, or would he have a concealed weapons permit?
Well, and see, it's hard telling because I mean, back in Jesus' when he was here on Earth,
they didn't have firearms.
Yeah,
so
they didn't
we
have
have
firearms.
to kind of extrapolate.
Yeah, we have to extrapolate here, and they did have swords, and swords were open carried, right? And I don't know that Jesus had a sword. It doesn't really talk to him about having a sword. Although
he doesn't seem like a guy that would live by the sword, if you will.
But he did sit in a corner and braid together a whip. And then turn over tables and whip people with it. So
that's why the Indiana Jones thing works.
Sure.
Because if you came at Jesus, whipping a sword around, he wouldn't just pull out a pistol.
Yeah.
One of the great scenes in movie history, and was a complete byproduct of Harrison Ford just being really ill that day. It was supposed to be like a long, drawn-out fight scene.
Yeah.
But Harrison Ford was deathly ill.
I did not know that. Your movie nerdum surprises me daily.
So that's where that scene, and it was perfect.
That is one of the best scenes in that whole series.
Same thing with Han Solo's. I know. That was Harrison Ford's contribution. That wasn't in the script, and it was far better than what they had said. I love you too, which was very Han-like.
Sure.
Look, Han shoots first, and he knows, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That George Lucas just can't keep his hands off of things. At least now, he no longer owns the franchise, so we won't see all the stormtroopers, blasters turned into walkie-talkies, Spielberg style.
You know what irritates me about the whole Star Wars franchise?
Careful.
Well,
I don't insult too much religion around you, all right? So don't be messing with the Force.
I'm a big Star Wars guy, okay? I even considered getting the Rebel tattoo. But
you seem like an Empire guy.
No, I'm definitely a Rebel guy. I'm a big follower of the Rebellion. But the thing that irritates me is in the original movies, they had certain types of ships, and then they went back, and when they redid the prequel, they had way cooler looking ships with way better technology. And I realize that we.
Well, think about it. It's 20 years of like brutal occupation.
I understand how that happened.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it was really bad. They should have stuck to the basic forms of the ships.
Oh, they mostly did. You know, the Republic Star Destroyers were...
the Star Destroyers were the same, and I appreciated that, but even the early TIE Fighter-y looking things weren't really the same.
That was a mock-up off those Jedi starfighters that had kind of the round...
I understand.
Cockpit.
Yeah, they had the round cockpit and the two wings. I get it.
But you also see the kind of, larval form of the X-Wing in the clone fighter.
Yeah, no, I got that.
Yeah.
What bothered me was the ships that Abadalba or whatever her name is, like the stupid queen that nobody liked.
Oh, the Naboo.
Yeah, the Naboo.
Skiff.
That were like super way better than everybody else had. And everybody knows that the Corellians had the best ships.
They did, but something like, the Millennium Falcon was an old
yeah, no,
ship
that was a classic freighter that had been retrofitted.
Or, when Senator Amidala's Tantive, that was a Corellian. Ship.
It just irritated me that they had like a better and
it wasn't necessarily better. I mean, look how that thing got punked just by droids trying to get away from Naboo.
And then it was really weird because it kind of reminded me of the same type of ship. And forgive me, their name slipping, but the Admiral Akbar's people make the kind of
the Mon Calamari, yeah,
the Mon Calamari. There you go.
Those cruisers were amazing.
But they reminded me more of that than a humanoid type ship. So it was depressing. I did own a chrome answering machine for a while though that was the shape of that ship.
Oh, that's beyond even my nerdy skills. And I say this as someone who displays the Autobot matrix of leadership above the fireplace on the mantle.
It was on sale.
It has the key to
Suncoast.
Vector Sigma on the back, and if you flip it around, it lights up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually used to I stole one of the original movie posters from episode 1.
There's something proud to have.
Well, one of
Jar Jar's all mine now.
Yeah, notice I don't have it anymore.
Misa thinking, it was poor judgment.
Misa thinking, you were no bother.
All right, it's 1:37. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw, where I make fun of libertarians and their fascination with raw milk.
Why do you gotta why is it always my people? Make fun of Mac.
You're not a Ron Paul person, are you?
No, but I was a registered libertarian for 5 years.
Oh, God.
Now,
hey, if you're willing to discount the entire history of mankind, libertarianism makes perfect sense.
Well, that's why I'm a constitutionalist now.
Oh, boy.
Actually, I'm registered Republican at the moment because I had to for the caucuses, and I haven't undone it.
That's too bad. You and Ed Fallon, I guess, both have that in common.
Yeah, I just, it's such a pain, and I'll unregister next time I get a new license.
You gonna be one of those independent types?
I'll go back to independent. I was a libertarian, and I really started looking into the Libertarian Party, and I'm like, this isn't really me. So then I went independent, and then for the caucuses, you had to register.
No, I want to see a party run on like a gold and raw milk platform. I think that'd be awesome to watch, just that spectacle.
Well, the Democratic Party's not too far behind. It's not inconceivable to say that if we threw in reusable toilet paper, you guys would be on board.
No, not so much. We'd much rather take it with like fuel emissions in cars. The reusable toilet paper, not so much. Not everyone is an Ed Begley Jr.
I'm thinking if we did reusable toilet paper, raw milk, and a gold standard, everybody would be all right.
Are you one of those cloth diaper people?
My wife was, and it was really disturbing. I actually refused.
They're
disgusting.
There's just some, you got to understand, this is one of the main differences between Democrats and Republicans today. Like, yes, each side has kind of a loony fringe, and the problem, we didn't turn our party over to, the Luna Cup, Earth defenders. They do their thing, and as long as they're not blowing up Hummer dealerships, I'm cool. All right. Draw the line like Alf.
Wait, Alf? What's wrong with that?
Not Gordon Shumway, the Animal Liberation Front. Blow up the lab.
I thought you were talking about like Alf.
No, Gordon Shumway's cool in my book.
Because I love Alf.
Yeah, totally.
And eating cats is totally cool with me.
Yeah, how did they got... I mean, you got to give credit to the stuff they get past censors and how they do it.
Alf was awesome.
Do I have to explain the eating cat thing to you?
No, I get it.
Okay.
It's kind of like SpongeBob is a sponge that lives in a bikini bottom. and his best friend is a starfish. I'm just saying.
Okay, because
think about
they
that.
put these things in there for a reason. It's to keep the adults occupied. But we never quite turned our party over to the loonies and the nuts. It's just what happened after, the second Bush administration, big losses in 06 and 08, and what was left but the rump of the party. And they're still calling the shots. One of the initiatives undertaken by the Obama administration was this "We the People." Have you heard of this? "We the People." It's a petition. You put it up on this White House.
Is this the succeeding
website.
thing?
Yeah. Well, not succeeding.
Seceding. I said seceding, not succeeding.
Well, it actually, based on the rules of "We the People," it is succeeding. As of now, I haven't checked the numbers in the last few hours. Petitions from Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas have all garnered the required 25,000 signatories. People who log in, register, and say, yes, I support the secession of Texas. That's the number set by the Obama administration to actually consider. It's a way to bring up issues that maybe don't get attention from the inside the Beltway class, or maybe politicians don't want to deal with. Right now, Texas has almost 100,000 signatures.
And these are the people that scare me, by the way.
There's part of me, it was the clip that Jon Stewart played, the Willy Wonka. No, don't go. Stay. I'm kind of like that, especially when you look at these states that are almost universally negatives as far as the tax rolls go. I mean,
well, then you should. You know what? You should support them.
There's part of me that does. Although there was a counter petition from the people of Austin to secede from Texas if they secede from the Union. But can you imagine, what kind of hellhole? Well, Mississippi and Alabama already are, but...
You know what they would call Texas if they seceded from the Union? Mexico.
No, they want to be the Republic of Texas. And
as soon as they seceded from the Union...
Well, and that's the thing.
Mexico would take over.
Not only to keep, our version of General Sherman outside of their borders would be a little difficult. But yeah, you would have to keep Mexico out of the South. That might be a little expensive. They'd be like one of the top 25 economies in the world if they did it. They have access to the sea, although that would probably be blockaded.
Sure.
But okay, so
they'd have a lot of oil for the size of the country they would be.
Does Florida, down in the Keys, they already call it the Conch Republic?
Yeah.
They're kind of their own.
The Keys should be their own thing. I mean, who wants to go down to the Keys and then be held to the laws of land?
You go down to Key West, and we've all seen there's a buoy down there.
Yeah.
Southernmost point. You're closer to Havana than you are Walmart at that point. It's
and it's such a nice drive. Have you done the drive?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that drive.
I hate that drive because while the scenery for the most part is very nice,
the
people
that's all I'm talking
on
about.
it.
The only thing I don't like is the roads gets really narrow at times, and you start seeing all these crosses of people that have died going down this.
Highway 1, US 1 is the
A1A.
The highway there, and it's very scenic. Although I did it at night,
but you got to drive A1A with the rag top down, so your hair can blow.
No. But the 7 Mile Bridge is nice, and you can actually walk out on the remnants of the old bridge, which is.
I haven't
still
done
there,
that.
And people do fishing off it. It's very scenic. It's very nice.
I just like how you can drive over and you can actually see schools of fish swimming under because the water's just that clear.
Oh, it's amazing. It's not quite like Bahamas clear, but they should
nice.
be able to get their own. But it's good to see conservatives taking this well. And I know it's not 100%. I know it's not universal, but whether it's there was a guy actually in Key West. I was on the phone with my buddy who lives down there. And he was asking me about it because he doesn't read the newspaper. Because you don't have to because you live in freaking paradise. And he had to turn his air conditioning on today. It's hot. But I guess some guy actually killed himself and scrawled like, bleep Obama on it. There was the woman who ran her husband over because he didn't vote. He was the reason Romney lost. But as of right now, every single state has a secession petition, which probably won't be taken seriously by the we the people. But yeah, these states have enough signatures. There are a couple states that have multiple petitions that if you would put them all together as one would have enough signatures. But at least for now, Iowa, not any distinct threat to secede. But it's nice, again, to see in times of stress and strain what conservatives really think about their country.
Isn't this a little bit like, fine, I'll take my ball and go home?
A little bit, but they kind of want to take our ball and go home. These are all states that are in the negative. Texas may put out more, but that's the only one. Tennessee, Alabama. Also, large concentrations of that 47% Mitt Romney wasn't real fond of. They all live in those southern Gulf states.
Well, I would like to see who they're going to lead at first. See if they had a plan, and this is how this was going to set up. I think it'd be more viable.
King Rick Perry.
Yeah, I mean, if him and Jeb Bush would collaborate, maybe.
Give me 3 good reasons Rick Perry couldn't be a good king of the South.
Oh, no.
Because that's more than Rick Perry could give you.
No, I think he'd be a natural choice, but that doesn't mean that I...
But again, it's nice to see, what these people think of their country when it's laid bare. And I understand that they're lashing out in rage, but again, threats of secession, people offing themselves, a couple op-eds saying that I'm never going to, talk to my Democratic friends again. Again, if it weren't for the people in this country, these folks would really love America. But it's interesting to see how they react when, they don't get their way. Petulant children. No, that's not fair to children, because children don't know that they're being a spoiled brat. They just want something in the candy aisle and react appropriately for their age group. These are grown adults who take the time, again, to sign up on a website to let their voice be heard. I would like to secede from the Union, because that worked out well last time.
The legitimacy of these, though, I have to call into question, because I did get on my Facebook like 2 days ago, and somebody said they had signed 23 of these. Well, one for each state that had the bill up.
Yeah, but at the YouGov, you could only sign up for each petition once. This isn't like Ron Paul people on internet polls.
No. I understand that. I'm just saying, I don't think you should be able to help a state that you don't live in secede. That doesn't make sense to me at all, actually.
Just, again, it's a simple, experiment. I'd love to see what would happen if Alabama decided to strike out on their own. Can you imagine what sort of third world hellhole it would quickly devolve into?
You mean the third world hellhole it already is? Have you been to Bama?
Yeah. All my kinfolk is Southern. So
Bama.
Mississippi's worse.
But
it is in every measurable
Bama's
sense.
So bad. I've never been to Mississippi.
I've told people this before. If you are unfamiliar with what Alabama is like, the fine folks at Top Gear have you covered.
Yeah.
Did you watch that clip?
I haven't watched that clip.
You should go on YouTube and Top Gear visits the South, or Top Gear Alabama. It's on YouTube, and it's a very good primer on what the South is.
I just know when
really
I'm
like.
Being dead serious, like Boy Scout honor. I didn't meet a single person in Bama on my trip through Bama that had all their teeth. Just
I don't think dentistry is that bad, and it's certainly not an area where the British show Top Gear can criticize.
Yeah, I'm just saying, not one person.
Just go on YouTube and search at 2:30. Go on YouTube and search for the Top Gear in Alabama if you want to know what the South is like, and I don't recommend visiting. Although you can fly into Miami, rent a car relatively cheap, and drive down US 1. That's a good thing to do. Bama, not so much. This Jill Kelly character keeps getting weirder and weirder. She is the social liaison that was getting allegedly threatening emails from the woman David Petraeus was stooping on the side. Turns out that she's millions of dollars in debt, ran a fake charity, one of those charities like, we're raising money for a good cause, which we're all going to spend on parties and transportation, paying ourselves. Everyone got a good laugh over the weekend. Because again, when you're in the news like this, the news media camps outside your house. There's satellite trucks. There's reporters waiting for you to walk out on their front lawn or whatever so they can ask you inappropriate questions or have Stuttering John yell at you or whatever they do. She called the police and tried to invoke her diplomatic inviolability, basically saying, like, officers, I'm a diplomat. She is the honorary consul of the Republic of Korea, South Korea. And it's actually, that's a real thing. I didn't know they had these, but they're actually registered with the State Department and actually have immunity during official acts only. They do not enjoy personal inviolability and may be arrested pending trial if circumstances should otherwise warrant. Again, if you're a diplomat from Saudi Arabia, this is a huge problem when the UN's in session and none of these diplomats pay their parking tickets. Can't arrest them. Diplomatic immunity. Family members enjoy no immunity or personal inviolability. Honorary consuls are issued official identification. How do I be like? I want to be an honorary consul. How do you? I
can tell you one thing for certain: you will never be Texas's honorary consul.
No, but
sorry, it was there.
Even something like, what about the Democratic People's Republic of Korea? Huh? Who speaks
of Korea?
Yeah,
who speaks for them?
In North Korea, I'm sorry. It's something that because it's such a weird. It's like the bottle city of Candor. It's just this. It's so freakish. I have, because you can sign up now. You can tour North Korea. I mean, it's all fake and laid out for tourists, but you can't go anywhere without government minders, and it's propaganda nonstop. But I'm torn between my desire to see this just completely backwards, screwed up, Pyongyang, versus I know any money I spend there will be going to prop up dictators, so not so much now. This one's just funny. Back when the Republican Party was putting together their platform, I spent a day going through the Iowa GOP platform because it's such an insane document of craziness. It's like old school Republicans, plus the like religious crusaders, plus now like the Ron Paul brigade, and plus like this Sky Admiral Michelle Bachmann, just crazy eyes. And one of the things that caught my eye, there's multiple mentions of Agenda 21. That sounds, scary. And how, the Iowa GOP fights Agenda 21. Most people are not aware what Agenda 21. I mean, I can lay out what it is in reality, but I don't speak crazed conspiracy theorist. So it's hard for me to step into the shoes of a crazy person. Maybe is this what happens when you drink raw milk? Are there some sort of brain-born parasites there? Luckily, I have an expert who can explain this stuff for me, and it is Glenn Beck, who has yet another new novel. Again, when he's not selling his followers genes, not genetic, like denim. He writes books, and this one, his new novel, Agenda 21, is set in a dystopian future in which the implementation of a United Nations Treaty on Sustainable Development has turned the United States into a police state where workers spend their waking hours attempting to minimize carbon emissions and to have children with as many different partners as possible as ordered by the central government. Yeah, that sounds like something the Iowa GOP would want to fight. Like, and again, this is a classic chicken or the egg problem? Which came first? But at least now we have at least some sort of, a working definition of what the GOP is. I guess, I wouldn't want to have children with as many different partners as possible. Who do you put in charge of that? Maury Povich? Does he have a prominent place in this new novel from Glenn Beck?
Yeah, but then
instead of dancing when you're not the father, because true story, I leave the Maury Povich show on because it keeps the dog from barking. I'm not making this up. When I leave the house, Maury is on the TV, and you leave it in the background, and the dog doesn't bark, and we don't get complaints from the neighbors. I'm not making this up. This is my real life, as strange as it may be. So I've watched some of this, and yeah, I Maury used to do like the whole Springer, Montel Williams, Charles Perez, remember him? Show thing, but it's kind of like how none of the shows he did were as popular as the "You're Not the Father" DNA testing. It's now just all DNA test shows all the time, and the way typically those is they so and so, you are not the father, and then there's they get up and dance and have a good time. I assume in the world Glenn Beck is laying out so helpfully for us. If you are not the father, you are immediately taken to a FEMA re-education camp. I'm afraid to meet the person who says, yes, this is a look at our possible future. Because I'm just trying to imagine the mental pathways needed and the connections that are made. Like, this is where we're headed. This is what's going on. I guess gone are the days where you could make like a Logan's Run or a Gattaca and for dramatic purposes create this dystopian, Blade Runner world. Because now there's a segment of our population that, yes, that's what's coming. It's not entertainment, it's soothsaying. But there you go. If you, I guess, want to get in the mind of the Iowa Republican Party, sit down with a big glass of raw milk and ponder your survival seed garden. I don't know, lay on your mattress that's filled with gold coins and read Glenn Beck's new novel, Agenda 21. Coming to, I'm sure, the doorstep of crazy people everywhere anytime soon. And real quick before we go, because this is good news. Nancy Pelosi announced today that she is holding on she's going to run and going to win to remain House Minority Leader in a move that is absolutely going to drive the Republican Party insane. They hate her. They hate her with the hot, fiery passion of 1,000 suns. And for a very simple reason. She's effective. One of the underreported stories of at least the last couple of years is that John Boehner is not necessarily an iron hammer when it comes to his speakership of the House. He's got all these, Tea Party, we're freshmen representatives running around like crazy men. In some case of like Steve King and Alan West, legitimate crazy men. So quite often to get bills done, John Boehner has to, put on his finest Michael Jordan, scent, get his nice spray tan going, and show up on Nancy Pelosi's, door on bended knee saying, I need your help. Nancy, you're my only hope. She's been very good at keeping rogue Democrats in line. There's a huge fundraiser. But again, for the simple person, she beats them. I mean, the Republicans, we saw with the secession, all right, don't take kindly to losing in the first place, but to lose to a woman from the party that fancies itself as, these rough, manly men, but not in a bareback mountain sort of way. Or brokeback mountain, whatever. I'm sure there's a version of that movie somewhere on the internet, too. But we are macho, manly men, unless you say something bad about it.
I'm pretty sure there is a movie called Bareback
I
Mountain.
would guarantee it.
And I'm wondering now how you know about it.
Because there's a porn parody of everything. Have you seen the Avengers one?
No.
China is She-Hulk.
Okay.
Anyway, let's move on. The point is they fancy themselves, again, as these masters of masculinity. Wide stance for everyone. And when Nancy Pelosi just comes in and goes and shuts them down, they can't their brains shut down. They can't fathom a world where, again, they are not masters and commanders of their own domain. And hopefully one of the things to come out of this, one, Steny Hoyer, who's a little more blue doggish, doesn't take the reins, even if that makes Luke Russert sad. No, seriously, go. There's video of him today at the Pelosi press conference. Oh my God! Really, like A1, like why nepotism is a bad thing. The career, and we'll use that term loosely, of Luke Russert. Anyway, one of the reasons I am happy to have Nancy Pelosi guarding the gates for Democrats in the House of Representatives, not just because she's in a position, again, to possibly retake the speakership in 2014. Long shot, very long shot, thanks to gerrymandering. And even states where Obama won 4 or 5, by 6%, where Democrats got more votes than Republicans for the House of Representatives, thanks to some very creative districting. Republicans won a majority of those congressional seats, like Pennsylvania. So, Texas, for example. So it's probably going to be 2020. Democrats need to really come out, and it'll be a presidential year. Take back some of these state houses so that we can, again, not every system. We have a very good redistricting system here in Iowa. It's very straightforward. I wish other states would emulate us, but there's too much at stake. So again, I'm not passing judgment on gerrymandering. It's just something. It just is. It is a fact of life, and will help maintain Republican control, at least in the House, for the next 8 years. But one of the reasons I'm glad Nancy Pelosi's there is because, well, now the very serious people in Washington are getting together to tell us exactly how much in the shorts we need to take it. There's, again, it's one of these, they make it sound like a very big issue, but it's actually very simple. The grand bargain, the fiscal cliff, and we are all set to be Thelma and Louised. Catastrophe will befall us. Locusts, plague, welfare queens, as far as the eye can see. The streets will run red with, red ink, but dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Not so much. So when we come back, let's not make a deal. And both sides are bad at this one, but at least I think there's hope. All right. 244-0077. That's the phone number. The email address, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. And follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw, to see all the snarky things I say about our governor. There's a Kathy necktie in the Des Moines Register. Has a nice little government, Governor Branstad reaction to the Obama win. I think he got kind of caught up in the fever dream of the Romney landslide. And is not taking reality well. Does anyone? You might. You're a Republican. Do you have any of those sore loserman signs left? Remember those in 2000 during the recount? Republicans were holding up the sore loserman. Terry Branstad is a sore loserman. You can find it on my Twitter feed, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. Just go to thebradshawshow.com. Work in progress for almost all of your Bradshaw needs. Back right after this on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day one of WebcastOneLive.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait, howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going, man.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Ever feel like there's more to life? God offers more. Chat now with an online coach at groundwire.net. There is hope. Visit groundwire.net and chat now with a live coach for answers.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It's time to start.
Rock concert movement number 1.
Hello. There we go. 209 Bradshaw with you here on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon.
Go.
Might be a dog park day. Well, a little disappointed. I've heard good things about the Ankeny Dog Park. I should go up there. The West Des Moines one. The problem is the big dog. They have the little dog section and they have like big dog section. No one in the big dog section. People with big dogs are horrible people because they don't pick up their poop. And I have a small dog that likes to roll in it, and that. So I gotta keep him on the little dog side. Maybe do the new Riverside one is nice. All right, email me radiobradshaw@gmail.com and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. Everyone and the mother is talking about fiscal cliff. That sounds daunting, right? That's right up there with, like, you know, I don't know, the Blair Witch or no McRibs this year. I mean, scary stuff. Right? This fiscal cliff is some sort of Armageddon that we are headed towards. Now, what is the fiscal cliff, you ask? I'm glad you did, because I will help you out. Remember when Republicans held the debt ceiling hostage? I think very intentionally misleading their constituents into believing that somehow the debt ceiling spends $1, a dime, a penny. It doesn't. All it does is allow us to pay for the appropriations bills that these very same House Republicans passed. It pays for, the Highway 20 project that Steve King, happily shows up for the ribbon cutting for. All those defense programs and congressional districts that you can hold up whenever a Republican says, government can't create jobs. Really? Do you want to close a military base in your district? But jobs! Thank you. Republicans saw it as a hostage situation and threatened the full faith and credit of the United States government to score political points. Okay? That's, in the words of a great American, their prerogative. As part of the debt ceiling deal, a trigger was put into place if, X number of dollars of spending wasn't cut from the government. It's funny how that never seems to happen, even among these Republicans who claim to care a lot about the deficit. Truth is, they don't. Never have. For more information on this, look how Republicans have governed during the Reagan years, during the Bush years, You get my point. Medicare Part D, great idea. Pay for it. Rainforest in Iowa, let's build that. That's how they've actually governed. But if you, let's say, have no ideas and become the party of no, government spending will probably help the economy. And you don't really want to do that because, well, then you can't take credit for it. So the deal was reached. If X number of dollars in spending cuts weren't agreed to, automatic cuts would kick in. This is the fiscal cliff that very serious people in Washington have been talking about. It was supposed to be a deal that neither side wanted to happen. One would be the end of the Bush tax cuts. You'd see tax increases, which Republicans just are, find abhorrent. And there would be spending cuts. A good chunk of those cuts go to the military. I don't think the term fiscal cliff is necessarily appropriate. I mean, it's scary. There was a piece on ourfuture.org comparing it to the shock doctrine, Naomi Klein's book, and how it's, we have to do something immediately. Now, in the case of the debt ceiling, that was true. You don't even want to ponder what would happen if the U.S. government was to default as the reserve currency of the world. This would be a very bad thing, short term and long term, not just for our economy, but that of the world. This, on the other hand, not a big deal. Let me explain. We've already seen John Boehner's kind of first effort at Olive Branch. Might not have been olive, may have been poison ivy. He said, for purposes of forging a bipartisan agreement that begins to solve the problem, we're willing to accept new revenue under the right conditions. Define conditions, good orange sir. That what matters is where the increased revenue comes from, what type of reform comes with it. Does it come as a byproduct of a growing economy energized by a simpler, cleaner, fairer tax code with fewer loopholes and lower rates for all? What John Boehner is saying here is that in the spirit of bipartisanship and being a magnanimous loser, I'm willing to accept the Mitt Romney tax plan. What do you say, pal? Good news is the White House said no. Take your plan and stuff it in your tanning booth. Good sign. Maybe for historical purposes, we should look at what President Obama, right, the most liberal, leftist, socialist, Kenyan, Marxist, anti-colonialist in the history of mankind, actually offered Republicans. And this was the grand bargain. John Boehner couldn't get past his, jihadist, caucus in the House. Bob Woodward actually got a copy of the memo. This was the deal, according to Woodward, is that President Barack Obama, the most liberal, leftist, socialist, communist, Kenyan anti-colonialist ever, offered a $4 trillion debt reduction deal. He was willing to cut TRICARE, that's military health insurance program for retirees, cut Social Security, cut Medicare, along with some tax cuts. And it was $4 trillion in 10 years. A 3-to-1 mix of spending cuts and revenue increases. As I said at the time, and mentioned, throughout the election, if John Boehner could have just, whipped his caucus into line like Nancy Pelosi does, if John Boehner was half the man Nancy Pelosi is, and he could have just taken a yes from the president, now the political landscape in this country would look a lot different. Imagine, and again, Republicans tried this, get partial credit for success, trying to run as the defenders of Social Security and Medicare, even though the guy they named as their vice president wanted to turn it into, health stamps, turn it into a voucher program. Because Lord knows, if I'm at Blue Cross Blue Shield, I want more old sick people on our rolls. That is the path to success. But you probably wouldn't have seen Paul Ryan. You would have seen Rob Portman, probably, if you're going to really run as a defender, which would have made Ohio look a lot different. And you run to the left of Obama on Social Security and Medicare, and you try to rack up, 70% of the senior vote. Same thing in the House of Representatives. Same thing in the Senate races. But now the landscape's changed a little. Not only did Obama win re-election, much to the chagrin of our own governor, and you go back 2 years and tell your average Washington pundit, Democrats are going to increase their lead in the Senate, they would have laughed at you the way America laughs at Luke Russert. Again, something underreported. Democrats received more votes for the House of Representatives than Republicans, even though they have a 40-seat majority, thanks to gerrymandering. So the political landscape now looks a lot different. And if President Barack Obama is smart, you want to talk about legacy building, you have I am not the politician that Barack Obama. I would give a one-finger answer to Republicans. demanding slashes, but a one-word answer of no should suffice. And, I mean, I think, honestly, Barack Obama would love a Republican Congress he could work with Bill Clinton style. I think that would be his fondest dream. But it doesn't exist, and you have to go to war with the Republican Party you have, not the Republican Party you want. And certainly, House Republicans have shown they are more than willing, in fact, maybe even enjoy to a sick degree, brinksmanship. Different people react to the Cuban Missile Crisis in a different way. I'm just saying, once the thing got to the 4-hour mark, there are a number of Republicans who probably need to call their doctor. So, how do you deal with it? Bring it on. Remember, the Bush tax cuts were set to expire after 10 years as a budgetary gimmick. The thinking was there's no way that these spineless Democrats in Congress would allow them to expire. And what do you know? As part of the deal, they were right. Now they're set to expire. Here's the fun thing about a tax bill. Let it expire January 31st. Let Republicans make all the noise in the world. Let them scream from the hills. It's not going to change the election out. It's not going to change the election outcome. Pass filibuster reform in the Senate. I'm not saying eliminate the filibuster entirely, but certainly make it a less, painless experience than it is now. Yet, at the beginning of each Congress, the Senate can set its own rules. They typically just, carry the old ones forward, but reform is possible, and this was something I argued in 2010 should have happened. I certainly wasn't the only one. But Harry Reid, demurred to tradition, and we saw the mess that caused. So why not reform it now? Let the Bush tax cuts expire. Let the spending cuts kick in. And then, dare Republicans to vote against the Obama tax cuts. And that's for those of us pulling in less than $250,000 a year. Say, here's your, take it. Pass it in the Senate. Send it to the House. And if they want to obstruct it, that's on their Why deal with them? Why bargain with them? They've already shown they have no interest, less than no interest, in actually reaching across the aisle. They've shown this for years. All I'm asking is the president take them at their word. Is that too much to ask? Let's not make a deal. And you'll notice as we get closer to the holidays, the talk of grand bargain sequestration is only going to ramp up. The very serious people understand that we need to do this now, immediately, yesterday. Do it now. And it's time for the president to hold firm. He didn't win re-election. He's Senate. Look who we sent to the Senate. We sent Elizabeth Warren, not Joe Lieberman. We didn't send Bob Kerrey. We sent Tammy Duckworth. That's who won these elections. That should be the message that the White House gets. And it's time for Obama to stand firm. Yeah, he wants a Republican Party he can work with and craft bipartisan grand bargains with. All right, but you might want a pony too, but you don't have one, and you're not going to get one. Deal with the Hot Wheels you have. Dare them to turn down the Obama tax cuts. You have a whole year. Tell me you can get nothing done in 12 months? Then let Republicans run on that. You people who make under $250,000, we filibustered your tax cuts. We sat on the bill. We renamed dozens of post offices, though. I'm so-and-so and I approve this message. Yeah, I'd love to see Republicans run on that. Let the Bush tax cuts go. And Republicans wrote the sunset in, not us. And dare them to obstruct the Obama tax cuts. Nothing else, the label's much better. As far as sequestration goes and then the spending cuts, you tell me we can't work something out? Let's play old country hardball the same way Republicans want to. And instead of providing cover to the obstruction and playing along, well, let's put, well, here. If you had an enemy that 92% of the American people didn't like, would you provide them cover or shine a big spotlight on them? Probably the big spotlight, right? You probably want to highlight that fact. God, if only the president had like a bully pulpit where when he spoke, most of America would listen. Even if they didn't necessarily agree with him, they would at least hear the words that are coming out of his mouth. Take that ball and run. You don't have to run for election again. You don't have to worry about 2016. And this is one of the, cases that you should just jump on, where good politics is also good policy. Now is when we can maybe bring up that congressional report on tax cuts and how it turns out that cutting tax rates doesn't stimulate the economy. This goes back to September, and the Congressional Research Service submitted, then withdrew an economic report and found no correlation between top tax rates, up here, down here, down here, and economic growth. The magic formula that John Boehner brought up, the magic potion, the magic beans, behind supply-side economics. No, Congressional Research Service withdrew the report because, Senate Republicans thought it was a little inflammatory. They didn't, mind you, refute the findings. They didn't take issue with the evidence. They didn't like the language. They had concerns about the methodology and other flaws. And again, what most of us can see, just having lived through, the 80s, 90s, and today without the rep. All right? Let's be honest. If cutting taxes and deregulating, cause the economy to do gangbusters, you probably would have seen a lot more George Bush during this last election cycle. If just cutting taxes worked, you wouldn't see Republicans act, like vampires to garlic when you bring up the multiple mentions of Ronald Reagan's tax cuts or tax increases or growing the size of government. The power of Reagan compels you. The power of Reagan compels you. But when you actually put the math behind it, then they get really upset, apparently. Let the tax cuts go. Let them expire. And then force Republicans to deal on your terms. They want to play hardball? Play hardball. But the very serious people who are almost absolutely full of it, your Chuck Grassleys, right, who talk a great game on deficit and debt, at the end of the day, and pork is only something that happens in someone else's state or someone else's district. make them put, well, literally their money where their mouths are and see how it works. Let the sequestration cuts kick in. Then submit a bill that reinstates that military spending and see what happens. Oh, and by the way, we're going to tie it to food stamps. We're going to tie it to extended unemployment benefits. Maybe you could throw in a couple other goodies there that might actually goose the economy. And as the economy grows, magically watch that deficit and debt lower. Because again, I'm old enough to remember the year 2000. I'm old enough to remember how Republicans actually dealt with the thought of a budget surplus. It scared the bejesus out of them. This is where the Bush tax cuts first came from. Because all of a sudden you had a bunch of economists going, well, if we keep up at this rate, we'll have the debt paid down and we could accumulate a sovereign wealth fund. Which means you can't hold Social Security and Medicare hostage for the most part. And that scared the bejesus out of Republicans, so it was time to run up the debt. Remember, Dick Cheney, deficits don't matter. Quick quiz. Was deficit higher, not the deficit, was it higher when Barack Obama took office or today? It went from 1.4 trillion to 1.1. Barack Obama actually decreased the deficit. You're welcome, by the way, for that. You'll notice the rhetoric didn't change at all. There was no, even growling approval among Republicans. Truth is, you let the Bush tax cuts expire, the economy, again, is going to rebound. Maybe not as fast as we'd like, but it's going to. Go look at those CBO numbers for what happens to the debt. It disappears. Like, literally, if Congress has only moved for the next 6 years to do this, problem takes care of itself. All Republicans want to do is exacerbate the problem, starve the beast, gut entitlement so that there's more money to funnel to the causes that they prefer. And they can pretty up in whatever language they choose. But, again, Republicans' main problem, arithmetic. All right. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Maybe it's time to drop a line to Senator Harkin. Tell him no grand bargains. Braley, Loebsack, if you live in those areas. Just let him know you're paying attention. You know it's absolutely BS. And you're not interested. Anyway, email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, and we'll reconvene tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, here on The Bradshaw Show on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.